When I think about the importance of the developmental writing scale, I'd like to start by saying why we developed it. And what happened, we were working in classrooms with students with moderate intellectual disabilities, and I was also conducting research. And we were, doing writing instruction, and we knew these students had made gains. And there weren't measures out there that were showing the tiny changes that these students make. So one of the powerful things we wanted to do was to develop a measure that showed really refined tiny changes in writing development. Another thing that we noticed was that there wasn't a measure that took us from drawing and scribbling all the way up to multi-paragraph writing. And so we wanted to capture that whole continuum. We wanted the developmental writing scale to be easy for teachers and any educator to use. We wanted the developmental writing scale to be formative. And formative means that it's going to help us know what to do in the classroom tomorrow. And we also wanted the developmental writing scale to help support progress monitoring outcome measures. So for example, I talk about a sample where one of our students with intellectual disabilities wrote P-O-P-E-Y, and she had a picture of a puppy. That was the first time she wrote a real word. Well, on the developmental writing scale, that's a level 5. And we know that the next level up to a 5 is when they begin to write more than one real word. That's a level 6. And so our instructional goal for that student would be to write more real words. We may have a student who writes cars fast, and that's a phrase level writer. On the developmental writing scale, they are a level 8. And it helps inform our instruction because then we can emphasize and do lots of instructional models, helping that student see how to move from a phrase into a full sentence. That doesn't mean I'm going to cut up words and do sentence strips. Or have students or force them to construct sentences. It means we're going to do lots of instructional models, talking about what is in a sentence. We're going to say, oh, and look, let's count the words in our sentence. I went fishing with my dad. And we can talk about what goes into a sentence. So the developmental writing scale we see as our anchor measure. That helps guide what other measures are possible. So we also have a text type diversity measure. And that girl who wrote P-O-P-E-Y, we can now measure her on the text type diversity measure because she labeled her picture, and that's a text type, is to write labels like this is my mom or puppy. And so the developmental writing scale is useful in a whole bunch of ways. And my favorite way in which we use the developmental writing scale is to celebrate students. And so we have a celebration of students at the end of the school year, and we put the developmental writing scale scores in for every writing sample into a table, into a special booklet that goes home with families. And we hear, like one of my students had 10 booklets after he worked with me for 5 years, and we hear that some of these kids look at that at night. All of their writing samples are in there. It's a great way to have a student's work shared with family members at home and to honor what they've done.